in programming we have a lot of data types we can use. So we have integers, floats, strings, and booleans. So integers are like whole numbers. These are like numbers you can count on your fingers, but they can also be negative. So there's also floats. These are numbers with decimal points. You might use these to take measurements, while you might use the integers to count things, keep track of things. And we have strings. So these are pretty much anything, like a word, just as long as they're covered by the quotation marks. And we have booleans, which are true and false. So these are just maybe, we can call them responses from the computer when we ask it a question. So true or false, is 1 plus 1 equal to 2? The computer would say true. Use them later. And now we have variables. So these are containers we can store data types, data values in, which are of data types. So we always have a name for our variable, and to its right, what's stored inside the variable, whether it be a string, an integer, or a float, or whatever. So we can imagine these as containers. So all of these are variables with the names of containers. We just decide to call one present, one cube, one box, and they're going to store 2, 3, and b's. So if we add present and cube together, we get 5 because present stores 2, cube stores 5. If we change present to 4, then it changes and it's now 7. So what this shows is how useful variables can be on our code that can change over time and be reused. So to write this in JavaScript, we have on our left hand side the name of the variable, and on our right hand side what's stored inside the variable, so its value. Here it's the string cloudy. So in JavaScript, remember, name, equals sign, and then value to the right. Then you can reuse the variable's name everywhere in your code where you would want to use the number or the string or whatever you have stored inside. So if we changed cloudy to rainy and we had a program all using today's weather, it would replace every instance of cloudy or every instance of today's weather where it had cloudy to have rainy instead. So we're in the P5 editor now, and we're going to practice data types and variables. So right now we have 3 strings inside console.log statements, just talking about my favorite Pokemon, Bulbasaur. But what if I decide that my favorite Pokemon is actually Pikachu? As you can see, if I wanted to change all of this, so both instances of Bulbasaur, my favorite Pokemon, and the Pokédex number, I'd have to go in and change 3 lines. And in a really huge set of code, this might be hundreds. So what we can do instead is set a variable. We might call it favorite Pokemon, and I'm going to just keep it the same. It's going to be Bulbasaur, and its Pokédex number is still going to be 1. So we can change the way the code is written now, showing how we can use variables to reuse our code and to change it easily. So I'll just go in and change all this. You can see that we can use the addition property of strings in JavaScript to print variables inside other strings just by adding them together. Its Pokédex number is... Oops. Yeah. And if you notice here, I've left the space in because JavaScript, when you add a string together with other ones, it doesn't treat it like a separate word and add a space or anything. You're going to have to do it yourself. It just smacks it onto the end. So we're hitting play and we're going to get the same thing because we've kept everything the same. So now if I want to change my mind about my favorite Pokemon, I only have to change 2 lines instead of going in and changing 3. And so it took quite a long time because I had to change all 3 lines to include the variable as well. But imagine if this was like hundreds of lines of a program, and we already set it up to use variables. It doesn't take very long, and it makes it more efficient. It means we can change it anytime, means we can reuse it for other things, and it might make it easier to read.